Right now, we're going to talk to the Washington Informer's Our House newsletter editor. That's Austin Cooper, '06, and Ashley Clarke and Amy DiPierro with the Center for Public Integrity. Amy and Ashley, welcome to WinTV.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Austin, your next issue comes out Monday, correct? Tell us, what can we expect?
That is correct. And hey, frat brother, hey, Amy and Ashley, hope you both are well. Good to see you. That's correct. This will be our 20th newsletter that will come out on Monday. And our lead story will be homeowner lender disparities for Blacks in the district. This newsletter, which is online, comes out every 2 weeks. So our feature story for April 25th will be defining and building generational wealth. And by the way, April is Financial Literacy Month.
Integrity.
Hi, Kevin. I think you may have you were muted while you were winding up the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So tell us, if you will, about your work and your roles at the Center for Public Integrity, because I think your story on housing repairs in the district appeared a few weeks ago in the newsletter, and brought to light some of the housing repair programs for seasoned citizens and the long wait that it often entails before those repairs come to pass.
Sure, I can kick us off by describing my work. I'm Amy. I'm a data journalist at the Center for Public Integrity. So what that means is that my role is often to think about whether and how data can help to answer our reporting questions. So that means acquiring data sets. They might be public information that the city keeps. That was the case in this story that Ashley and I reported. It might be data that we have to go, find ourselves and collect and compile. And then there's the question of analyzing it, visualizing it, and using it as a storytelling tool. And in this case, and in a lot of the reporting that we do, my job is to make sure that I never lose sight of the fact that there are people behind these numbers. And so, we also do the on-the-ground reporting of finding the folks who you might see in a spreadsheet or a database. And I'll kick it over to Ashley to describe her work.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. I'm the audience engagement editor at the Center for Public Integrity. And so part of my job is to think of ways to connect with people who are impacted by our stories. The goal with this particular story was yes, we wanted to highlight what was happening with this particular agency, but we wanted to center the people who were impacted by the backlog. And so part of my job is figuring out ways to center the people who are most impacted by our reporting. That can be through collaborations, like we have with the Washington Informer. That could be through you taking our large data sets and figuring out ways that local newsrooms can utilize it, showing them how to utilize it. And that can be through like our audio recordings of our stories, just figuring out different ways to different pathways to connect people with our reporting.
So I remember a professor telling me once that you can make statistics say almost anything if you take the right batch or eliminate the proper batch. And I thought it was interesting, Amy, talking about compiling the data and looking at it. So we have these numbers now, these backlogs. I mean, how intense is this? How bad is it? I think there was one story you may have shared where one homeowner actually died while waiting for repairs to happen. Are we still years and years on a backlog for these repairs?
I think, so maybe to give a little bit of background about the program first, for those who haven't read the story, this is a program that's run by the Department of Housing and Community Development. There are a number of housing repair programs that different departments of the city run, as well as nonprofits that do similar work. And this program is aimed at homeowners who are low income. It's not confined to any one part of the city or any one age group. And there are some other requirements that you have to meet in order to qualify. And in this case, initially this is money that homeowners need for things like roof repairs. They might have a roof that's leaking. They might also have accessibility needs. Perhaps they need a grab bar, perhaps they need a ramp into their home in order to navigate comfortably. So there are a variety of things that this program is meant to cover. And, what we found was that I believe on average, the wait time as far as we know it most recently is something on average like 3 years. So, you can imagine that from the moment that you might apply for a program like this to the moment that you're able to complete the repairs, you might be in a situation where the condition of your home is worsening or just changing. And so homeowners can end up in this cycle where delay leads to further delay. So that's one of the things that we noticed. Ashley, did you want to add on to that question?
Yeah, Ashley, help us out a little bit more on that. Since you do public engagement, you hear feedback from people. I'm sure people are lamenting about this delay, but what's that like? We hear 3 years, say, oh, here it is, 3 years, but you gotta really feel it when you're the person in line for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to go back to what you said about like you can make statistics and numbers say anything, because that is why listening to community members is so important, right? Like to get the story right, we can't just look at the numbers. We can't just look at the wait times, because if you look at them, they can mean anything. But that's why it was so important for me to find people who had applied to the program and hear their experience, kind of walk through what it looked like for them to apply to the program. Once they applied to the program, what sort of back and forth they had with the people who were running the program. We looked through like email chains between them being given the runaround and things like that. And so being able to do that, being able to like have long conversations with them and go through like the application with them and documents they submitted, documents they received, really was able, for me, I was able to like almost in some ways understand the anguish you might feel to have to be like dragged through this such a long process. You know, something like having a leaky roof, like in 1 year, is completely different. Down the line, 3 years, you start to have chipping paint, you start to have mold, you start to have maybe bugs in your house because the water is attracting them, and that's some of what we saw. And so if we just looked at the numbers and said, okay, people are waiting 3 years, sometimes repairs take a long time, but actually sitting in people's homes, listening to their stories, talking to their children who had helped them apply to this like lengthy application, you really got the sense of, I mean, you wouldn't want your mother, your grandmother, or your uncle who's elderly waiting and waiting and waiting, going back and forth via email, not really understanding where they are in the process. I was really able to get a sense of this is not right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And Austin, I'm gonna come back to you as we try to wrap this up because we wish we could keep talking about time. We're running out of time. I can't believe it. So, Austin, tell us, help us out with the next date again, and remind our viewers when the next date of the newsletter is coming out and how we can get it.
Yeah, the next newsletter will come out on Monday, April 11th. It is comes out every other Monday. It's an online publication. And I do have, if I may, one question to both of our guests. Can you tell us a story about briefly the gentleman who passed away while waiting for his home to be repaired?
Yeah. So I think there were actually two in this case, but I think what you're referring to is an elderly gentleman who his daughter actually helped him apply to the program. He had cancer and some other health issues, and he actually wasn't even able to sleep up in his bedroom because of the damage to his roof. And so his daughter had applied about a year ago to have his roof repaired. And basically she was told, oh yeah, you're applying now. There are people in like way ahead of you in line. And so she tried her best to try to have it escalated to say, my father is sick. He's lived in this house for 30 some odd years. He's been a part of the community. He's poured himself into this community. And so at least this is what he's owed. Her father fell even more ill while he was waiting, ended up in the hospital, and eventually passed away. And the last time I spoke to her, she said that she was told that because he passed away before contractors even came to his home, that the repairs wouldn't be done. And for her, it's a matter of like, again, she feels like this is what her father is owed, but now she's being burdened with having to figure out how these repairs will be made. And it just speaks to the issue of like, how can Black homeowners in DC pass down generational wealth if they're passing down homes that are dilapidated or in need of great repair to their children. And so she's very upset that the repairs weren't done in a timely manner while her father was alive, but now too that she feels like she's fighting to have those repairs done that she feels that her father was rightfully owed, and now that she's owed. And so that was one of the cases. And then I'll let Amy speak to another case that we found out that while we reported.
Certainly, one of the things that we initially found when we were doing background on this program was a reporting by the Washington Post, I believe back in 2015, about this same repair program, servicing similar complaints to what Ashley and I heard when we went about interviewing homeowners. And the gentleman featured in that story had been waiting for some time for repairs, also had various health problems. And so I went about trying to track down him. In the process of trying to track down him, I contacted an advocate who had been working with him, trying to help him to connect with city resources. And she told me the very sad story that after that article was published, there continued to be delay. And shortly before his death, she had managed to arrange a meeting with the city. But upon arriving at his home, they realized that he had passed
away,
before that meeting could occur.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I'm pleased to report to our viewers and readers that you both will be doing a follow-up story, updating us on the individuals that you spoke to. So thank you to you both for your excellent article and reporting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. And then Austin, I'm going to step away real quickly and do something technical, like grab that charger so my computer doesn't shut down. And I want you to just tell us the next couple of editions that are coming out. Help us out so we know what kind of stories you have in the can and why they matter for us.
Okay, well, thank you, Kevin. So as I mentioned at the start of this interview, we're going to be doing our next story for the month of April will be homeowner lender disparities for Blacks in the district and defining and building generational wealth. And then stories planned for May include home buying assistance programs for veterans and what the impact of so few Blacks being home appraisers. So Amy and Ashley, while I still have you, if I may ask, I would imagine that COVID-19 had a major impact on the delay in the programs. Were there other issues?
There's certainly,
yeah.
You go right ahead, Ashley.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, there were definitely other issues, and there was a backlog before the pandemic. Actually, some of the homeowners that we spoke to for this story had applied and been accepted into the program before the pandemic hit, and had been facing the same sort of runaround. But another slowdown, which they have, the Department of Housing and Community Development says that they've addressed, is for this single family residential rehab program, there were paper applications. So people were having to go into an office, like a community-based organization, fill out these paper applications, and then have it submitted that way. They've now digitized that process and hopes to speed things up. So that was one of the things that they attributed to slowing them down. And Amy, I think you have you do a good job of explaining the temporary repairs.
Yeah, that's so. There's what Ashley is referencing there is that one of the things the city has aimed to reform about this program is this problem where homeowners need something urgent, need to in a way stop the bleeding so that the condition of their home does not worsen. And so we've been told that the Department of Housing and Community Development now has a program that they're developing whereby a homeowner can get a temporary fix for perhaps a roof patch, perhaps something that's not permanent, that doesn't entirely remediate their issues, but at the very least addresses their immediate concerns, and means that down the line the repairs that will have to be done are hopefully less time consuming and less costly.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Amy and Ashley, for your excellent reporting. I've enjoyed working with you all both and looking forward to continuing to do so. And now back to Kevin.
All right. Thanks, my brother. Thank you, ladies. We hope you continue to keep that work going and help our people out in the district. We appreciate you.